Oh, yeah. But no, aren't they delicious?
Just leave this for today. We'll just deal with whatever sound we have.
Oh, do we have a sign-up sheet?
Yeah, it's over there with all the paperwork.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, we'll get started. I'm sorry you lost my voice a couple days ago and it really hasn't come back, so I will try to yell, and if you don't hear me, please let me know. I'm the president, Jessica Larson.
Grace and Vice President Renee Dolan, membership.
Elena Harrison, secretary.
And we are out today, Elise. Can I have everybody look at the minutes from last month? Look that over, see if you see anything missing. If not, I'll get a first and a second motion, please. Yeah, sorry, I closed up the thing. Whoops. Can I get a first motion? Thank you. Okay, treasury report. We don't really have anything from last month.
Take a vote.
We just did. They both just.
First and second vote. Hands. Approved, not approved.
Oh, sorry. Oh, we didn't do that one. So I'm confused. Okay, so we did the first and second motion. Can I get all in favor? Raise your hand, please, for the approval of minutes. Thank you. The treasurer report, we don't really have anything from last month. I guess the only thing that I would have for treasury, so when I kind of looked into the mascot, I was getting between like $1,500 and $2,000 for a quote. Because we are doing it customized, and we're doing it customized because the other Jaguars are too scary looking. It's between $5,500 and $15,000.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try to find a different avenue. Jesse had mentioned maybe just doing just a face and like a jersey or something. So I'll see if a company would be willing to do something like that. But I would not spend the money on that, and I don't know how you guys feel. So I got to do a little bit more looking into it. The announcements and upcoming events. We have movie and pizza night on Thursday. We're going to do Ice Age. It'll be English with Spanish subtitles. We'll do pizza, popcorn, candy, and soda. Yeah, and it'll be in here. It starts at 5:30 to 8.
Yes, the doors will open at 5:30, and then the movie's going to start at 6.
And then Pennyworth we have coming up next month. Pennyworth will be February 10th through 14th. This year, I know a lot of parents, including myself, get all stressed out. My daughter's like, I need all these pennies. Give me pennies. And I go to the bank and I don't have pennies. So this year we're gonna send out a flyer that has a QR code on the flyer. So if you guys want to donate towards your grade, it'll be positive points. So you can donate towards your grade and it'll give however much money you give, it'll be times, what is it, 100? Times 100 for points. Yeah, so we're gonna do that. January birthdays would be Araceli Rigney on the 12th, Jesse Evans on the 18th, Jessica W. on the 27th, and Kayla Hickman on the 31st. And typically, I think it's the last Friday that we usually do gifts or treats for the teachers. Next, we have member and committee reports, and I will pass that off to Jesse.
Is that a principal update? Okay, yeah.
What did I say?
Member, committee member.
Oh, yeah,
Sorry.
Sorry.
That's okay. Part of the reason that we are meeting in here is because there's construction going on in the building itself. So just to give you guys a quick update, the doors are being updated across the district. Our week is this week. So what that means is that any interior classroom door is being replaced. They have been kind of a hollow metal door with a long, narrow window that is in the side. Those are being updated to wooden doors that have kind of a smaller but wider window in it. The reason for the update are twofold. One, the window is a little bit safer because it's a smaller window and it gives a little bit less visibility into the classroom. The second piece of it is the locking mechanism is being updated completely and replaced. Now the locking mechanism is going to be from inside the classroom. The teacher will be able to see from across the room whether the door is locked or unlocked. The old system was you had to try the outside to see if it was locked. So now you'll be able to see from the inside if it's locked or unlocked, and it'll be a simple latch that you just flip sideways and it'll lock, or flip and it'll be unlocked. Inside between the classrooms, so each of our classrooms has a door, interior door that goes to the adjoining classroom. So in each corner, the middle one actually has two doors that go to either side. All of those doors are not going to be double locking, which means that they will lock from both sides automatically, and you'll have to use a key to get between one room to the other. The reason for that is in the event of a situation, let's say that teacher A is on a field trip and is not there to make sure that their door is locked. Teacher B, who's in the adjoining classroom, up until this week, could have just passed right through into the next room. Now you won't be able to go from one room to the next room. You'll have to have a key to get through. So there are a couple safety things that are coming with that. The quality of life for us this week is that we have from about 2:30 until late into the night, they're working on doors, trying to go as fast as they can, and they've done about 6 or 7 schools before us, so they're pretty efficient at it. They've already gotten through a lot of doors, but that's going to be happening this week. Teachers who, I think, actually, Rebecca, your door is already done. They'll show up tomorrow to brand new doors. They already have the keys to use for those, and then those will be in place.
Just exterior doors.
Exterior doors aren't being touched in this. Yep, this was all work for interior classroom doors. What's that? Oh, your exterior door?
Yeah.
Sweet. That's a bonus. They told us specifically they wanted to point to. Yeah, that's good. We also had the Youth Truth Survey. I just sent out sort of the first wave of asking for feedback from parents. Youth Truth, for those who don't know, is a survey that we partner with an organization called Youth Truth, and it asks questions of students and parents. For elementary, it only asks of parents, but in middle school and high school, the students have a chance to take the survey. And it's really trying to measure the culture of our school, trying to measure how we're doing and communicating out to you guys, communicating out things like what's expected of your child to have be successful in school, the work that's expected, events that are happening, situations that may come up, how are we doing in communicating with you guys? So we ask that we get as much feedback as we can. The survey I just sent out was through Seesaw, but we know that not every single person, 1 is checking Seesaw, 2 is current on Seesaw, and 3 is maybe even signed up for Seesaw. So we have a couple different ways that's going to come out, including emails, and you'll see a little piece of paper from your students asking if you've taken the survey, and if you have, they can turn that in to get a free little treat. It's probably going to be a pencil, but it will be something. Last year, when we had done 3 or 4 different waves of communication out to parents, we were sitting at about 17% participation. We sent out the paper, and it jumped up to about 85% participation. So we are going to lean on that and do that again, and try and get as much participation as we can. Obviously, the more people that give us feedback, the more meaningful that feedback is, so that we're not just saying, wow, we're doing really good, 3 people said so. Instead, we're saying, hey, we're doing okay, 72 people said this. So that's coming out, that's all this month, and it ends January 31st. They've extended it in the past a couple times, but we're kind of planning for January 31st to be our window. So from now until then.
Jesse, can those results get shared with any participating two parents, and then
Great
there's
question.
an action after that that says, based on feedback, this is what we prioritize.
Yes. Yes, in theory, yes. We haven't done a great job of sharing that back out to you guys in the past. We share it with the staff every year, and we go through the results and kind of look at it. One of the things we've really focused on from the feedback you guys have given us is how are we doing around communication, and how are we doing around interaction with you guys. So yes, my goal is that Eric and I will be able to present that information to parents in a couple different ways. This PTO meeting would be one of those ways, but we would also like to send out information to people who aren't here. So giving some, and then the next steps of like, here's what we're going to do based on what we heard from you guys. Sorry, go ahead.
Does it go just to Jewel or like our surveys, or does it go to the district?
The district gets to see the information too. Yeah, I've never tried to, but I don't think another school could look at our information. But the district does look at it, and then we also give it out to the staff. And so that's some information for me and for the district of how are we doing with our communication. Do teachers know kind of what to teach? Do they have access to excellent professional development? That's an area that we've been working on this year because of the results of the Youth Truth. As a district, we're really working on trying to make our professional development better. Did you have another question?
Similar question, comment. I think the school board, don't they review like the giant,
Yes.
with like the agency at one point?
Yeah. So they are looking at district-wide data, and Youth Truth is a fairly large organization, so they have data that they pull from all over the place. So when we look at our results, we can sort of sort it by how's Jewel School doing compared to the district, and it'll compare us. How are we doing compared to other schools in Oregon, and then how are we doing compared to everybody who takes the region survey? And then we can kind of gauge based on that. So we can say, hey, we're doing really well compared to our district, but as a district, we're not doing great in this area. So some things to celebrate. Hey, we're doing good compared to our district, but as a whole district, we can improve this. Yeah, good question. Any other questions about it? That's super important, valuable data that we appreciate you guys taking the time. You can, only one parent has to do it, but we ask that you do it for every kid that you have. So if you have 3 kids, I had 3 kids last year, I got to do 2 of them, and I asked my wife to do a third, because it's a fairly involved process. And it may be different data depending on your kid. You may say, hey, my 3rd grade kid, I know exactly what I'm doing, but this other, the other grade, I'm not sure what's happening with this. And some of that may be true because of the grade level. Maybe like, well, in kindergarten, I have all this information, but I don't have anything to compare it to. I don't know if 3rd grade's getting lots, but as your kids go through, our hope is that you're getting information from every grade level based on how that kid is doing and how what they're doing. And then the last thing that I wanted to share is we're coming up on our choice school lotteries. So we are a choice school. We are a dual immersion school. We have one strand that's going all the way through. Right now, it stops at 4th grade because that's our first year, or the year that is kind of the tip of the spear for us. 5th grade, we'll be hiring a new person around spring break. Usually we try to open the job around spring break and then hire just a little bit after spring break. So if you know of any high quality dual immersion teachers, please send them our way. I'll be watching the job postings. But the choice lottery system will be opening up real soon. If it's not open already, it actually might be. And we'll be having an information meeting here at Jewel. I'll have to check on the date on that, but we'll be advertising that. So if you know of families who are interested in the dual immersion program, please make sure that they're applying for that lottery. If your child is already in the dual immersion program, then the younger siblings are automatically brought into the program if you choose to do that. And then it is a true lottery. So we don't have any influence over it. All the names are put into a system, and then they draw those names based on how many spots we have open. We have about 25 spots here at Jewel that are available. Half of that goes to native Spanish-speaking families. Half of that goes to native English-speaking families. And then if we still have people who didn't make it in, then they are put on a wait list. And we've had it happen before where somebody maybe moves out of Bend, and so they relinquish their spot, and then we ask the next person to come if they're interested. So if you know of people who are interested in the dual immersion program, definitely have them look for that website.
So no action needed, just needed, like for my second coming in, no action required only because I'm something. program, or do I still need?
We would need you to let us know that, one, they're coming, and two, that you want them to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same process, follow that?
Yeah, if you check in with Canyon at the office, she can tell you
Okay,
kind of the steps to take.
Okay.
But it's usually Wednesday, right? But, so thank you for asking the question. A common misconception is, well, I don't need to register until midsummer because I'm already in the program. We want to know what spots are taken so that when we do the lottery, we're actually pulling the number of names as the spots we have open and available. Our kindergarten teacher usually knows has younger siblings coming up, and so she'll let us know and say, hey, remember, we've got this kid who I think is probably going to be in the program. So then we usually reach out to the families. But if you register and have been in the program in the past, then you'll be right in there. Yeah, great question. Any other questions?
The survey that you sent today that you know.
I did. It's not email. It's on. It's on CSUN. Yeah. So there's a link there, and then my message. But we will be sending it out by email too, in case that's easier for families. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jill Johnson up
I
next.
only have one thing, my rose cake, if you guys want.
Yay!
So, other than that, I didn't.
Are they everything that you dreamed of and
Sorry.
more? Are they?
Oh, you know what, they're actually really neat. One of them, so I did one that's just straight, like, it's the one that's in there, and the other one has knots going up it, so it'll help assist kids who are younger, who are still.
Awesome.
So it should be really cool. And they feel night and day different. Like you wouldn't even know they're doing the same thing because of how I'm like, wow, this is.
Yeah.
When you have that online,
Sorry.
when you have that online.
I don't know. It's why I put in a work order so whenever that happens. Yeah, it is, it's a
Next up, we have Carnival. So we met, I think it was a week ago for Carnival. There's not much kind of going on right now. We're trying to figure out what games we're going to do. We're trying to figure out, everybody kind of knows their own role. So right now it's just kind of splitting everybody up and just kind of having them kind of do their own research about whatever they've got going on. So next month we'll have all the details about what's going on. We know for sure it's March 7th, and it'll be the same time as last year. So it'll be 5:30 to 8. And we're trying to figure out, I know that the line was just super long last time. And so I think there was some talk of maybe starting to do like tickets at 5 o'clock. And, whenever we open up the door at 5:30, people can just kind of head on in since they've already bought their tickets. It sounds like there could be like a will call section, or we can send home bracelets or tickets or whatever with your kid. But we're just trying to be more efficient and just get people kind of in so they're not there forever. I didn't put this on there. I totally forgot. I'm sorry, Renee, but we'll do a playground update real quick.
It's pretty brief, but the district is working on standardizations for all the playgrounds. And so we are, I don't like to say waiting, but we're waiting to see how our design fits into those standards. So waiting in the sense that we're not going to forget about it, but they're still working on those. Jesse and I are going on a forming request changes as well. And then we're working away on, planning for fundraising, the website, and other things. We're not just totally waiting. So that's where we're at. The next meeting is the 12th. It's a Wednesday at 5 p.m. at the downtown library or by Zoom. And if you just email PTO email or just ask me, I can add you to the list that I send out for all the info. Are you meeting the 12th of February? Yep. Okay.
Do you mind if I jump in with the?
Oh, yeah.
So just so this group knows, but anybody online as well, Jewel has been at the front of the work around playgrounds. The work that Mike was doing last year and the work that Renee has continued has led the district office to really be looking at the playgrounds in a way that they haven't in the past. and kind of paying attention to what standards do we want, what do we want to have every playground look like, what is, let's look at the playgrounds and see the quality and kind of the shape of our playgrounds in the district, and starting to think a little bit about how do we plan ahead for replacing some of the things. So some of the work that this committee has done has led that conversation and has kind of prompted that conversation. And they found an ally downtown in Doug, who has kind of taken it on and is like a little bit more passionate about it than anybody has been in the past at the district office around playgrounds. And one of the things that they're talking about for the standard, if you're kind of wondering, well, what would be the elements that they're hoping for? Silver Rail is the nearest one, kind of one of the new schools. North Star is another one, but that's clear over by Costco, a long ways away. Although if you go to Costco, you can just swing by and take a look at it. But some of the elements that they're wanting to see are kind of play structures, climbing structures, and then starting to move the district towards the surface being foam pads or mats, that getting away from the bark chips that we've been using for years and years. And all of those are things that are helpful for us to know for our playground, but then also conversations that we've already been having, kind of pushing towards, and the district is saying, yeah, that makes sense, and that would be kind of the standard. So if the committee is able to raise money and have that happen for here at Jewel, we would need to follow the district guidelines, but it would mean that we are getting a new playground or a replacement to this playground years before there would be funding or available bond money to do that at other schools. And we clarified, like, if we were to do this, that we would be able to correct it. Yep, we can do that. It would just be sooner than if we waited for the district to be able to make that a priority.
I appreciate the district being involved. It's great to have Tammy there at the last meeting. That was nice. And hear from us.
Yes. Yeah, she said that she's reached out right away and hasn't heard back from Doug. She's wondering if he's out of the office, and so she's going to connect with his supervisor to see what would the next steps be, so that she can meet with him and get some of that information. So thank you guys for that hard work.
Next up, we have volunteer opportunities. We could always use help. Office is pretty much covered, but any day for lunch. We do need some spots for movie night on Thursday. We're just kind of looking for people to pop popcorn, kind of help clean up afterwards and sell pizza. We will send out here in the next month or so a carnival volunteer sheet, just to kind of get some volunteers for carnival. I will say, I know this might sound a little harsh, but last year we were kind of stressing because we didn't have volunteers for carnival. It is so much work, and it's like we just need a ton of volunteers. So if we can't get those volunteers, unfortunately, I have no choice but to close it down. And that's the last thing that I want, but I can't run it if I don't have volunteers.
Volunteer duty.
A lot.
A lot.
Like 30-ish?
I think last year we were around the 50-ish.
Oh, wow.
And
I
they're
mean, it's-
broken up in 2-hour
Yes.
increments, so it's not like you have to be here at the very beginning and stay till the very end. We do shifts.
And it is nice because we have cadets that come for carnival. And so they're typically here from 4 to 9. And what I had them do last year was all the games, and some of them kind of helped in the kitchen. So we are looking at different avenues of maybe trying to get like middle school kids. We heard something about how middle school kids need hours or something. I don't know what for, but we're going to reach out to a couple schools and maybe see if we can use them. So anyway, if you can help with carnival, that would be amazing. We do break it into slots. I think it's an 1.5 to 2 hour slots. So there's like A shift and B shift. Next up, we have carnival budget. So we had talked about as a board to set our carnival budget at $3,000. I'm not sure what happened with the mix-up, but for whatever reason, $2,000 is on the paper. So I am asking for an additional $1,000. And what that's for is we used, so 2 years ago, they bought like a ton of like little presents or gifts to hand out for all the kids. And we don't have many left over this year just because we used them last year. And so a lot of that money is going to go towards just kind of passing out prizes to everyone. What I realized last year, for each classroom, I did 250 prizes for each room. And I quickly realized that that was not enough. So I want to say that we went through, it was hard to count because it was so chaotic, but we went around like 500 prizes for each game that we did. So a lot of that would be for that. Anywho, I'm asking for $1,000. Does anybody want to ask any questions, or I just need a first and a second motion and then essentially approval?
How much work is it to secure all the prizes? Or trading, or where do you get prizes from?
Off Amazon, and I've got a cart already going. Right now, I think I'm at close to 500. I've got to get for the fishing game. I've got to get like little packets of like Skittles. So we're looking. I don't know how much those cost. So I would say roughly 600, 650, and then that extra kind of $400 would just be just so we don't go over. That's kind of what the plan is.
Jessica, what's the likelihood of the carnival cancel? I'm just thinking if we're spending $1,000 in prizes and the carnival gets called off and
Mhm.
sitting and stuff.
Yeah, so essentially, I mean, the prizes would be used for next year, which is nice that they can roll it over and they don't have to get prizes. I would like to not call, I mean, I don't want to, which is why we're going to try to go to like middle schools and high schools and see if they can help. So I wouldn't say that the chances are high of canceling carnival, but there's always that's some chance.
Okay.
For ordering it off Amazon, is there any reason why we can't wait till next month and, make sure we can actually run it and then press the order button?
We can. So I try to I'm a planner. So once we get those prizes, I like to there's so much to do with Carnival. So I just try to do all the boxes. And then that's just one thing that's checked off. One of the biggest things that we're doing right now is asking for donations. So we can do an auction. And that's also been a struggle. I emailed probably 24 businesses before Christmas, and not one person has gotten back to me.
Well, I'm gonna mail the letter to Onzi.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, so it's just something that I am just trying to cross off so I can just move on to the next thing, essentially, is what that's for.
Have we reached out to the cadets that we used last time?
Yeah, so we already have them.
They are coming.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Great.
so we'll have 14 for sure cadets.
And was there a second?
Yep, the JROTC, they actually have an event that they're competing in on that day, so they
Okay.
wouldn't be able to come.
Cedra.
But we also, I have the teachers help us out in the classrooms.
Mhm.
As a volunteer.
Yeah, they can help. Yeah. I think we had 3. We had Detweiler, Perdom, and Hayes last year. Were you in a classroom?
Well, we have a few teachers last year. But the teacher has helped us all the years. Like the previous year, Charlotte, India, everybody else. The music teacher was.
Oh, yeah,
Leslie.
Yeah.
And the cakewalk.
Right. So what I learned last year is that they don't want to run the game the entire time. So like Amanda Detweiler was like, I'll do it for like A shift, but like I need somebody B shift. And so I was able to use her volunteer for A shift to come and help in the kitchen. So we do kind of shift the cadets around if we need to. But we won't have Alyssa Hayes this year. She'll be gone. So that's one teacher. And she's painting, like face painting and tattoos. And she requires 5 people. So she's one of our more significant ones.
Did we do tattoos last year?
What's that?
Did we do the tattoos last year?
Mhm.
So last year we raised over $11,000 for Carnival. So it's kind of an event that does bring money in. So even though it's a lot of work, it is very rewarding because it's an opportunity to have more people come in, more families come in, and just enjoy a night. And they don't have to do anything besides pay at the door and come in, right? Because there's kids, I don't know how many kids I ran into last year that were just going room to room and having lots of fun. So.
The previous year that we brought Carnival back into the schools, a lot of the parents were there already helping out clean up, and a lot of the state did help a lot of clean up. So if we like, hey, can you help clean up? I think we can make it happen, like we did the first year. Because the first year it was just from the members, getting sponsors, getting gifts, things like that. So maybe we can get our parents and say, hey, can you help us clean up? Can you help us clean the kitchen? Just a lot of,
I mean, if you're willing and you see people, if you're willing to do that, that would be great.
And I know a lot of us will help. We will stay for the whole time and help out, pick up a chair, grab some garbage.
Yeah, right.
And like I say, if we've done with the gifts, the prices, we'll clean the room up, close it up, and move to the next one.
Yeah, so we'll get a sign up genius going and then, we'll give it some time. But yeah, essentially to go back to your question, we just roll it back into next year. Yeah, roll it to next year.
I know Elise isn't here, but how much like reserve cash do we have for what came from?
For what?
Like if we're asking for one additional $1,000 to be allocated, like what's the pool kind of that we'd be drawing from?
So our ended year, she's projecting 78,000 to be in the bank account.
So on your financial sheet, it has the year-over-year budget. So you can see down there for the year-over-year budget, she has $11,000 planned to stay, to be surplus in the account. Currently, we have 4,000 surplus in the account. Ashley did mention she's online watching, and she said to contact the Key Club at Caldera, because those might be dual graduates and that they get credits for volunteer work.
Oh,
I think.
right, yeah.
Okay.
At Caldera.
Yeah, so we'll have plenty in there. And especially with the mascot too, since I don't know if that's even happening. Yeah.
I just wanted to, you had mentioned the Oriental Trading Company, and I don't know if you've looked into them.
The what company?
It's called Oriental Trading Company, and they would do small prizes, and you can get a discount based on how much more you're ordering. So that might be, it might be cheaper than this one.
Okay.
They have a ton of products.
Yeah, they have tons.
And we're just looking at the little trinkets for prizes. So it's
That's
not-
what they specialize in, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, but it can be cheaper than Amazon if you were getting a large quantity as we are.
Thank you. I did not know about that, so I'll look into them and see what the cost difference is.
Would you ever, in my preschool, did Carnival, and you just ask parents to bring basically everything left over, you have maybe most for a day, you have all the food backing stuff, but it ended up being tons of stickers and bubbles and various prizes. And then we would just divide that out amongst the games, but then they didn't have to buy it because every parent was like, please take my
Right.
stuff. I mean, it wouldn't be uniform prizes for each room, but it would definitely, I'm sure you could get a lot of parents being like,
Yeah.
here I have 12 of these and 6 of these and 10 of those, take them all.
Right.
Yeah.
So we do ask for help in doing, gathering donations for our cakewalk and our book walk. So those are kind of things that we try and keep more in-house. The teachers also are asked for raffle baskets. So that we do ask a lot from our community already. It's a great idea how much we would get back in that. We won't know, but it's absolutely something. So there is, like Jessica said, there is a lot that goes into Carnival. So it's not just about the prizes. It's also about, okay, are we going to have to make purchases to fill up any baskets or make a basket? So there's a lot of additional things. We also haven't finalized any food costs due to, we're still just starting this. So we don't know if those prices are going to increase given inflation that's going up too. So essentially what we're asking for the extra 1,000 is to just ensure that we aren't dipping into the profits, that we're, keeping it. And then if we have extra stuff or we don't spend the budget, then that's something that just stays in the account. So just some other reasonings to think about consider our request as a board.
And we may not touch that $1,000 at all. So like last year, there was a budget of 3,000 and we only spent 1,886. So it's very possible that we don't even, I just wanted to make sure just for the safe side is really all. Anybody else? I kind of did this backwards. Can I get a first and second motion on the carnival budget, please?
I'll make a motion to allocate additional $1,000.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. Okay, that's been passed. Thank you, guys. Next up, we have bylaws committee. I'll hand it over to Grace Ann.
Sorry, I'm writing. This year, given, the playground and doing the bylaws for that addendum to the bylaws, I have been really looking over the bylaws that we currently have, and it is outdated in a lot of language. There's a lot of language that's kind of confusing between the executive board, the board. The voting process is not even in the bylaws. So I am hoping that we can form a committee of like maybe 4 or 5 people that are interested in learning more about the bylaws and reading up on Robert's rules to correlate the bylaws and what it should be. And this also ensures our procedures are being followed, because we've brought a lot of things up so far this year, with the playground bylaws and how that's working. So that's just kind of where I'm at. We had Jessica and I had been talking in the Robert's rules, it states in order to amend or adjust or edit the bylaws, it has to go through a committee. So I've already been doing a lot of work on it, but then after we read that, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna halt. So I haven't done anything further. So, yes.
After it goes through the company, does it also be voted on by general?
Yes, it would go through the committee and work through the process. Then it would be, definitely brought to the board for us to look over it. And then, yes, it would be out to the general meetings for voting. My goal would be to take it in sections, because it is lengthy in what needs to happen. So it could be just a process every month. And it may not get finalized until next year's PTO board.
Yeah. If anybody's interested, see Grace Ann. Does anybody, so unfinished business, I have the mascot. I kind of already spoke on that. Does anybody have any questions about the mascot?
And just doing a quick Google search, there are mascots that are, $300 to $400 that aren't scary, but they can buy a million. Is it possible that we could do something like that? And because it is so inexpensive, we can not pull back on the, it will still need to be cleaned every year or so, but it will just need to be replaced.
Yeah, if you want to send them to me. So I was just more so trying to find like a costume that had a fan in it, just because you're like enclosed.
Yeah.
And a lot of them had fans, I believe, coming from like the top to like give them air. And a carrying case was another thing that I kind of felt was needed. That way it's not just being tossed around. So that's more so like where I was finding where it was kind of getting expensive, as opposed to like the $300-400 ones. But yeah, if you want, send them over.
Because we had talked in the last meeting about like we're going to need to replace it every so often anyways, so.
Yeah, yes, I mean, send whatever ideas you have, and I'll look into Jesse's just a head one as well. And then, yeah, we can go from there. That'd be great. Anybody else?
I like your idea of fan readers. A couple different times I've been the Easter Bunny at one of my works. And they had a rubber mask on the inside. Like you can't wear it more than like 5 minutes.
I didn't even know that that was a thing. And then it like made sense.
Yeah, the rubber, it's holes in everything, it's hard to breathe.
Yeah.
I thought, you got about 10 minutes, you're like, you should put his straight away.
The only other thing that I have for tonight, so I wanted to bring this to you guys as a general meeting, just because obviously you guys have say in things just like we do. At the beginning of the year for the playground, we have kind of discussed not using, so I know last year they raised money, the board raised money for the playground to kind of be put towards the playground. However, at that point, we thought that the playground was going to be around $80,000. And then Mike had prodded up and it was like $500,000. So we just kind of knew right then and there that that's not something that PTO could do. I mean, that's a lot of money. I'm glad what Jesse said, that it kind of seems like it's getting farther in the district. So that's great hearing that. So us as a board, we're kind of conflicted. So we had kind of decided at the beginning that we wouldn't move any funds over to the playground bank account, and that we would just kind of go for like grants or sponsorships. However, feelings change throughout the year, and we're split down the middle. So half of us feel like money at this point shouldn't be moved over to the playground fund. And then some of us feel like there should be money moved over. So if this gets approved tonight, this essentially would be like a two-part conversation. So the first part would be kind of voting on, does money get moved over from PTO to the bank account, to the playground bank account, sorry. And then the second part would be next month, and that would be how much money gets moved over. And essentially that would just be the playground committee, that they would kind of come up with like a couple of numbers, and then it would be presented here next month to see how much money would be moved over. So anyway, did I give good information?
The question is, how much money was donated prior to? Like, people thinking we were donating to.
We don't know. So there's nothing in the Google Drive that specifically says like Carnival was for this. Last year, and Mike was on the board, so last year I think it was just kind of, let's just raise as much money as we can, which is why we have $80,000 in the bank account right now. But it was never really like specified. It just, let's get the money and then let's figure it out.
It's more like a casual, like QR code at just existing fundraising events, like, hey, here's this project that's being kicked off, like contributing funds towards this and this. But it was all up.
Which is one of the, oh, sorry.
No, you say it.
Which is one of the reasons why we added on the addendum and we opened up a separate savings account. So now we can have a line item in Square or whatever that says playground fund, and then that money goes directly over to the playground account, and there's no confusion anymore.
So some of us are feeling, more specifically me, I feel like money should absolutely be moved over. I feel like PTO, I mean, we raised the money last year for this. I personally feel like money shouldn't be moved over yet to the playground account, only because nothing's been raised yet. I would like to kind of see like,
What do you mean nothing has been raised yet?
well, so the playground committee is still trying to like find sponsorships and donations
But
and,
for the past 2 years, we've been talking about it, people have been scanning the QR code to the playground funds. So
Right.
there has, people have been, the past donating money for the playground.
right, so that's why we're here talking about this, is because nothing was as,
There's no documentation to support what funds were going where.
We'll take more specifically how much funds.
Or that too, yeah.
How much?
That funds were sent.
As
Yeah.
a parent at the carnival last year, there was a board with a rendering of a playground on it. And we definitely spent more at the carnival, knowing that it was going towards that. As
Right.
a poster board, but
Yeah.
I believe the Seaver was the one who kicked off that poster board.
And we're fine
Yeah.
moving money over. Like, that's not even the question.
Yeah.
The question is when do we move over the money and how much do we move over? So I feel, so if we would have budgeted for this year for the playground, when we did our budget, so we set a budget and then we come to you guys to get it approved in September. So if we,
Did anyone get the chance to say no to that budget?
Yes. At the September meeting, the budget was presented to the general membership and reviewed
Yeah.
and approved at
Yeah.
that meeting.
so if we would have budgeted, we could have totally moved over $10,000 this year. However, we didn't have a bank account to move it over. So anywho, just my opinion, I feel like right now is not the time to move it over. I feel like once we get to like the tail end of it, if we're like $15,000 short, then we can like budget it and PTO can be like, yeah, here's $15,000, like, here you go. You know what I mean? So anywho, I don't care what we do because money's gonna get moved over either way. It's just a matter of, is it gonna be moved over right now, this second, or is it later on?
Ashley Ertl online had a comment. She said, I remember a QR code available at school events for families to scan and donate money towards a new Jewel playground. I think that would be disappointing for families who donated money.
I do too. Unfortunately, I cannot find anywhere in the Google Drive like that $50 was for the playground. I mean,
It's just lumped in.
there's no documentation. So that's some of the reason why we did another bank account. So that money specifically could go into that bank account.
I think your approach of having that actual dollars allocated for a second conversation is the right approach. Then, like, it sounds like there's a lot of agreement. We should allocate some money. How much that is
Right.
should be up for discussion because again, it wasn't tracked, but everyone has a say. It's at some point likely some people here did donate, so
Mm-hmm.
just put it up for a conversation to vote on the second part of how much do we want to spend. Is it 1,000, is it $5,000, whatever the case might be, we just leave it up to the PTO to decide.
Yeah.
That way it's
Go ahead.
I was just curious, if we moved, however much you moved over, let's say miraculously you got grant funding and we didn't need to use any of our own money, like put the money simply back, would it, there be like fee, like would you lose money or could it simply just move back to where it has been?
Yeah, just with general membership, I believe, right? And we just have to bring it back here, so we funded the playground, that was in the, we should vote on.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then from my perspective, or my little addition is like, if we have some money in that account now, it helps like foster like, momentum for more fundraising. And if parents felt like they donated last year, then it seems like we should have a discussion about how much to move over.
And figuring out how much would be moved over, you guys would have to go to the playground committee. That way you guys can figure out a couple of different numbers, because that's too much for here. So we'd have to go to their committee and we can figure out a number.
This was also feedback that we received. Jessica and I put out a survey to get feedback for how the year was, how the money was. And they're, like the board, some were great, some weren't great. Some didn't understand why we're funding the playground or what happens if we have all these teacher requests or these teacher needs, like where that money is supposed to really be allocated to. So that's another reason why we didn't put it in the budget for this year, but now it's coming back up. So that's another thing to consider as to, well, I donated, but some of the other behind the scenes were different in opinions and stuff. So,
I think there's gonna be confusion regardless. I mean, like what Jesse said.
Yeah.
We're the first school to actually start a project this big.
Right.
This is new territory for everyone, including us, so.
Which now knowing what Jesse said, I think we wait, because if the school's like, let's get you a new playground, then like,
They won't.
Then,
They're not funding it. They're gonna tell us the standards of what we can and cannot have. They're not funding
It's
anything.
wishful thinking,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, it is wishful thinking.
Jules Playground is not the worst playground in the district, so we wouldn't even be in the top of getting a new playground when the time comes if bonds get.
Passed.
And if a bond passes, it doesn't guarantee that that money goes towards a playground, it can go towards HVAC, it can go towards new sidewalks, and that money gets absorbed real quick. So, yeah, it would be nice. I would love the opposite.
So if we have the school on board with that, we should take advantage of it. Let's keep rolling with it.
Yeah.
Instead of-
Motion for the committee to bring a couple members at the next meeting, or it sounds like we're for sure gonna move budget, but just motion for the committee to bring a couple of members next.
Do we want to move money over this year then? Is kind of what everybody's thinking, or do we want to wait and kind of see what we should move over later?
Where's the fiscal year?
June.
June 30th.
Yeah, June 30th. And this is something that I can bring up. I mean, you guys can totally sit on this and we can talk about it next month. I mean, I don't mind tabling it.
Question.
Yeah.
Do we know, so it sounds like last carnival, we had like the QR codes, so there was reaching out to families intentionally to donate for that. Are there other instances that we were putting out something similar to raise money for the playground? I just wonder, and the reason I ask is, we can maybe think of, reevaluate when donations were potentially made and come up with a number that's more concrete. I know you mean,
We did it at Movie Nights, we did it
it was
at,
multiple times.
yeah, the only time that we didn't put it up was with the theater, the children's theater. We didn't put it up, the QR code, because we wanted people to donate money to pay for the next year's theater program.
I think that would be helpful to kind of
It would
know when donations were potentially being made to get,
But it
instead
wouldn't.
of just pulling out a random
It's
number,
just
you know?
square. Square's gonna do this.
I think part of it too is just how much money do we have that's extra that is like, I think the main concern likely from everyone's gonna be if we agree on the number, what impact does that have to the total amount of money PTO is currently sitting on, right? So where everyone's at least I assume, like just is how much money we have. If we were to take $5,000 from that, it has no huge impact because we're sitting on excess of $10,000, $15,000, whatever the limit is.
Yeah.
I believe the 11,000 is if we didn't raise any money at all. Is that correct?
So if we don't make a penny more moving forward, it'll be 11,000 is what we're sitting on in terms of extra money that's just sitting in.
Maybe it's less than that.
I don't know because she's not here.
Yeah. Yeah. We can get that answer for you later.
Yeah, we totally can.
I mean, I would just say from a voting, I think, again, Jessica, I think you're approaching right as just pass the vote to say, I think everyone's open to the idea of the conversation of allocating some amount of money, let's just pass that and then we'll have the conversation for the.
Yeah, so tonight is just if
Yeah,
we should. And then next month could potentially be how much.
So tonight we are gonna vote on if we should move over money this year. And so all in favor would be yes, obviously, and then no would be, we could do it next, I mean, you guys could talk with the board next year. And talk with them next year about moving over money. So all in favor to move over money this year, raise your hand, please. Okay, all opposed, raise your hand. Okay, that was passed. So now the second step would essentially be going to Renee's meeting. Is that something that you guys want to talk about on the 12th? Or should we set a different time for that?
There's a lot of time between now and then. I would say I could probably schedule a Zoom conversation with the committee members and anyone else who's interested.
Okay.
And we could somehow get that out to you all.
Okay. And I can pass that out to all the emails that I have in there. Just make sure that you guys sign up on our sheet so I have the correct email. So now the second step would just be how much money. And again, we do have money in there. Obviously, I don't know what we're going to have at the end of the year. But we've got money in there from last year for fundraising for the playground that they did. So, Okay, does anybody else have anything else?
I have one comment just thinking about this. I was driving in and I noticed that our new elementary sign is not illuminated. So there's no light electricity getting to it. But what I thought about is a lot of times when I'm in the wintertime, especially coming to pick up my daughter from Kids Inc. around 5:15, it's dark before you can get here, right? So I'm just thinking for safety, would it make sense, something, I don't know if this is part of the PTO or not, but would it make sense to get a quote, look at what it would cost to add electricity to that sign, or get a new sign? Because I think it would help with safety, like especially if kids are trying to cross in the afternoon when it's getting dark. And also if it's illuminated at night, people may also drive slower, or you might know it's an elementary school. I just know it's so dark out there without, if you didn't know where you're going, you wouldn't know to turn it there.
Yeah. Jesse, is that
I don't know
something?
if that's even something to talk to the district about.
You're talking about the one right on Murphy?
Yes, one right on, yes, correct. It's interesting, you don't think about it during the day, at night, you can't see, there's no reflection, nothing on it. So
I would think-
it would help with safety as well. And I don't know if that's something that the schools work with. Be interested in looking at doing that. Other schools have that, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. That's a good question. That's certainly something we could ask about. We haven't investigated. Looking at both signs, they're pretty old. And
Yes.
so I've already asked a couple of different people, how would I go about replacing those signs and updating those? If you go by Bear Creek, you'll see that their sign right on the roundabout there, 15th, as you're going down 15th, getting close to Pilot View, their sign is new, or at least repainted. So I started the conversation about just trying to spruce it up a little bit, but I haven't asked about giving light and seeing whether that's even a possibility. So I can certainly reach out.
That'd be great to find out. Just thinking more safety than anything for kids. Traffic light.
Another thing to think about, just because I know this, but we'll have to talk to the city of Bend too, because they have light restrictions, I know, for signage. And
Sure.
so that's something that,
Yeah, a couple of years ago, we asked about the possibility of getting a digital reader board out in the street, and it turns out that it's illegal. There are only certain, I think ODOT is maybe the only one who's allowed to have a digital reader, and so that would be a bad idea. But I have no idea what the laws would be around. Like, I don't know that there's a problem with it, but we can find out.
Or even if you can't eliminate it, even maybe there's an upgraded sign.
One last thing I forgot to mention, so we're starting to recruit for next year's board. So all positions are open for next year. If you're interested, go ahead and email me. It's just jewelelementary@gmail.com. Or you can come to me personally and we can talk about it.
I
Okay,
mean, people can put in for it, not necessarily that we're.
yeah, put in
helping
for
to
it.
leave.
Yeah, sorry.
You made it sound like we're all like.
we're all leaving.
To return.
Yes, yeah. Okay, we're gonna adjourn the meeting at 7:02. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, I still have
I learned with my president meeting that they'll donate grills. And that could be something that we could do for.
Deidre and Ashley were both online with the meeting, and they both were voting online, and their names and everything popped up. So that's the first time we've had chat. That was great.
Hopefully they heard everything.
I hope so too. Yeah.
Make it close,
I'll text them and get some feedback.
I wouldn't have even noticed.